Hello and welcome to today's talk with Erika. I'm Erika del Sordo. Real estate professional Nikki Hanna of South Florida's the Nikki Hanna Group joins me on today's show. I had her on in 2020 and she's back and better than ever. Nikki leads a high-performing team specializing in home buying and selling as the principal of the Nikki Hanna Group at LoKation Real Estate. Well, today we will talk about the 2026 Florida Hometown Heroes program. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi, Erica. How are you?
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Let's,
Thank you for having me back. It's been a long time, so a lot has happened in the last 6, 7 years. So
it has, and it has been that long, which is crazy. And a lot has happened. And I'm happy that we're out of the COVID era. And so we
yes,
have so much to talk about. But let's introduce everyone or reintroduce everyone to the Nikki Hanna Group. Talk to me about your latest and greatest happenings over there. What's happened in 7 years?
South Florida is always going to be a hot spot, especially Broward County. West Palm Beach has had so much growth. I use a phrase always: "In chaos comes opportunity." So although COVID, brought a lot of chaos, the opportunity was the interest rates were lower. So we had an influx of people coming from up north wanting more of an open state and the opportunity to move to Florida because their jobs got repositioned. And the chaos that came from that was the bidding wars, which really now has priced South Florida 30% to 40% higher than it was in 2020. So if you go back and you look at closed sales, or like whenever I look at like a listing and you can go in the history of it, and I see like someone bought it maybe in 98, or they bought it in like 2005 or 2010, and you see how much equity, like the double, or like sometimes even like a 75% increase from when they bought it, because real estate always goes up, right? And in that chaos moment, the opportunity came for a lot of people who really got that extra push to have more value in their house. And you saw some people that were in a short sale or a foreclosure period, unfortunately, that COVID somehow kind of saved them because the equity all of a sudden came back and people were able to sell and then like break even because they were like, maybe they had 2 or 3 mortgages out and stuff like that. But right now, I would say the market has stabilized. So the rates have gone up between 6% to like 6.8%. There's even talk that in the fall we'll be seeing 7% or so. And so it's stabilized. So the prices really haven't gone down because I look at the closed sales every single day I log in. I'm a big data freak. And but we're in a buyer's market. So the buyers have a bigger picking of what they want than sellers kind of being in a bidding war. In regards to the interest rates, people do get scared because they hear like the 6 and the 7%. But for whatever reason, we cannot erase people's minds. We're not going to see 3% probably anytime in our lifetime again. It wasn't something that we were able to sustain as an economy, and it created so much chaos with the bidding wars that people were crying at the lines and going into
Yes.
their 401k or cashing out stocks so they can come up with the extra cash to pay, which had a tax penalty on that as well.
Right.
So where is the opportunity? And one is the hometown heroes, which we're going to be talking about today.
Right.
So our governor, Ron DeSantis, a couple years ago has implemented this program for first responders, government employees. At one time, it was open to anybody who met the qualifications. But the last 2 years, he narrowed it back down to the first responders and government employees. That includes the teachers, the police, the fire department, nurses, doctors, child care workers, that those types of positions, because the salaries haven't caught up to what we call inflation, right?
Absolutely. Let me ask one question, though,
Yeah,
as we go into what the Hometown Heroes program is. What is the overall goal? Why was it created in the first place?
because a lot of these people are unable to save money. So if you're only making a new firefighter or police officer, for the most part here in Broward County, is probably starting at 60,000. Okay, let's even 60 to 70,000. If they have a bachelor's degree, they get a point more, an associate's or whatever. So after
Mhm.
you pay taxes on that, contribute to their pension fund. This, typically require like a 7% contribution. They do contribute to their health care. If they have a family plan, stuff like that. They're really not taking home a lot of money. So how do you pay your current bill and try to save? So Ron DeSantis, along with his team, decided to do this program. Originally was $25,000. Now it's up to $35,000 that you can receive in financial assistance. So that money can help with your down payment. Okay, so for small numbers, let's just say you're buying something for 100,000, unheard of, but it'll help with your 5%, 10%, whatever you're going to put down.
Right.
Or maybe you have the down payment, but then there's always closing costs. And people don't realize it's two separate things. Your down payment's what you're putting down the house to kind of get your payment where you want it to be. And then you have bank charges, right? Even if you pay cash, you still have some fees, the doc stamps, the attorney fees, and things like that. It's not going to be the same as a finance deal. But with that being said, the money can go either toward your down payment or to your closing costs, making you have less money to come up with cash to close. Now, the question is, what is the kicker to it? Like, what's the catch?
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's a catch. It's just an opportunity. It is not a grant. A grant is something that you don't have to pay back.
Right.
This is an opportunity, the Hometown Heroes program, where it goes on as like a second mortgage on your house, just like if you were to take out an equity line on your home, but there's 0% interest.
Mhm.
So it's free money. It's almost like when you go out and you buy furniture and it's like 0% interest for 3 years, or you go out
Right.
and buy appliances.
That's
Okay.
fantastic. It's just people need to
Yes.
understand it's not a forgivable loan.
Yeah. So it is, you have to pay it off if you sell the house. Or if you decide to make that property a investment property. Like let's say as you progress in life, now this townhouse you have, you want a single family house, you would have to pay off what it's owed. It's only for your homestead property. So that is somewhat of a catch. And
Right.
it was a problem for one of my clients. They were ready to upgrade. Um, he had bought it with the Hometown Heroes program a couple years ago, and if he wanted to rent it out, he was going to have to pay it off. And then he got a nice cut, a substantial amount of money from the Hotel Hero. So it's a lot of money to come up with and then to refinance. So they just sold the property instead. The positive is it allows you to get into your home. It allows you to continue to build equity. So, usually the first home that somebody buys that they're going to live in, is 3 to 5 years that you're staying there.
Why is everyone saying buyers should apply for this early? What happens in the later stages?
So every year there's X amount of money allocated. So once the funds are gone, you have to wait until the next year when the new budget comes out, the fiscal year.
Bingo. Okay.
So prime example, I have an amazing kid, an adult kid to me because I've known him since he was little, who's a first responder, and he got awarded the money, but like now you have to go use it. Like you just can't wait 2 or 3 months to say, hey, now I'm ready.
Right.
You got to do it now because in that time period, somebody else might, like the money starts to go away. So the money starts to go away, you lost your window and you have to wait. And I've seen people continue to wait. They keep on saying, I want to save more money. I'm going to rent another year and for next year. Unless your salary really goes up 50%, you can't say you're going to save more money where you're at. Like how much more? If you couldn't save the 30 or 40,000 extra dollars that you need in the past year, how are you going to do that in year two if your career hasn't changed, you're not working a second job and play catch up, or no one gave you an inheritance, whatever it is, or, and a lot of parents are helping kids out, which, thank God that there's some parents generationally who are able to help these kids in their 20s and 30s, step into a home
Hmm.
because the job market everywhere, it's not just here, really hasn't caught up to
Right.
where the prices are. You hear a lot of times people say, oh, I'm going to move here, I'm going to move there because the cost of living is cheaper. Well, evaluate why is the cost of living cheaper. I think you moved up north, right?
I did.
You're from South Florida, you moved up north.
Right.
And I think you know the work opportunity is not the same
No.
as it is down here. So that, of course, that's why things are cheaper, because if they can't demand like a five-star doctor to leave Cleveland Clinic to come move up there, because they're not going to get paid the same.
Exactly.
And to me, it's live below your means,
Yeah.
because anytime you can lose a job, the economy can shift or something could happen. You don't always want to be, house poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
just because you got pre-approved for a home doesn't mean you have to go up that high. Now, I'll give you another example. The condo market is changing here, and it has changed. It's been all over the news with the unfortunate events that happened at Surfside.
Mm-hmm.
So again, in chaos came not opportunity, but it came the laws and the rules to really hone down on these HOAs that were not giving a crap or trying to save money or putting people on the board that told them what they wanted to hear, like, oh, I'm never going to raise the HOA fees. Oh, I'm never going to charge you for a roof. When we put bodies on a board for a voting right, a lot of times we do it based on they get on because they have their own agenda, and that is never to have to pay anything more than what they want to. In
Right.
all of these years it caught up. So unfortunately the Surfside, not having the due diligence, not having the inspections, they did get like letters of what they were missing and things that needed to get done, and nobody ever followed through with it. That tragedy had now forced a whole, like, that was chaos, like a horrible situation, forced all these places now to follow and man up and own up to fixing stuff.
Right.
I would say in Broward County, I really can't speak for Dade, but I would say at least 50% of all of the places are now up to code,
Hmm.
because we've had the last 3 years with deadlines from our governor to make not me, but like the HOAs, to make sure that they do the inspection, they fix the roof, the elevator shafts, the concrete restoration. Like, so if you're by the water and the salt water was eating at
Right.
the
Right.
balconies and the parking garage, like those are some of the issues that Surfside had. The salt water was eating at the foundation.
Right.
So a lot of the assessments have happened. Okay. So if you are going to buy something, there's rules now that we have to do. As a realtor, I have to ask for the last 6 months of minutes, because you want to see the history of what's happened. Did they get a new roof? Is there talk of a new roof? Is there a talk of concrete restoration or the pool, whatever? So my client's fully aware of what's happening. And that's why it's really important to hire an agent that one has the certifications. There's multiple certifications for which we hold.
Mhm.
Um, and is in it full time, is working, in different like committees and groups, and has the correct lender, has the title company that is owned by an attorney. You always want to have an attorney owned title company. So it protects your seller. It's a
Yep.
second double eyes on stuff. These are all the things that are really important when you're buying a home.
That's absolutely a great way to put it. And I'm happy you told people that because that is spot on what they need. So, what documents should buyers start gathering before applying for the Hometown Heroes?
I recommend that you go with a lender who has been trained in the Hometown Heroes program. Okay, just like a realtor can say they can do military, they can do VA, they can do this. Those are like niches that we end up selling in. And there's training classes and certificates to get it. So the same thing with the Hometown Heroes. My lender, he is one of the preferred Hometown Heroes lenders, because you have to apply for it like through a portal,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then there's like a what do you call it? Like, so let's just say you make 120 a year. There is a cap. It's like 120, like based on your salary.
Mhm.
There's a sliding scale based on your income, based on your tax bracket, all based on your down payment that you have, like how they figure out what they're going to give you.
Right.
So out of that 35,000, you might only get 20 grand, but it's better than zero. Look, we all struggle. I don't even care if you're a millionaire, and you're approved at $2 million. It's still a huge financial commitment to commit to not only your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, the HOA fees, the ongoing cost of a home between FP&L, Comcast. I mean, what people pay now for Comcast and the internet is crazy. And like, I know like everyone like says, well, I stream. I'm like, yeah, but I still like to have my cable, you know? So expenses have gone up, as we all know. But it's just I just remember, and I did it myself, and my parents did it. My dad worked two jobs, basically my whole entire childhood life. Um, and he had like, some investments and things like that because he wanted to make sure we had everything. Where you see a lot of people now, they don't want to work that second job just to like catch up or just to have like that second job to make some extra money. So whether you're an Amazon driver to do extra money, or you work 1 or 2 nights in a restaurant, or your dog walking is a big thing. Like these are things people can always look at too, just to save and get you over the hump to make extra money.
That's a wonderful thing to tell people. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
That's amazing. So they can, I'm assuming for Hometown Heroes, folks can go to your website. They can figure out where, because right now I want to say you're probably the most educated on this. Um, Folks can find a lender through you. If they want to go ahead and give you a call, I'm going to have all of your information in the about section. This way they can just contact you if they have any questions.
So they can contact me and then I will explain it to them. But a lender, which I use, like David Shearer is my go-to with CMG
Okay.
home lending. He will be the one to tell them to go to the portal, fill it out, and you also have to fill out with him. Send your tax returns, your pay stubs, and all that, because that's how they figure out the scale,
Right.
the sliding scale of how much money would be allocated to you.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So they can
Mhm.
give you a call and they can find out how exactly they can qualify and find out different information. I'll have some of your, information right here. And then, of course, they can find it in the about section. Did you want to add anything else?
I think that it really is a good time to buy, even though we hear all of this banter and chaos and stuff on the news and all these different things. Please remember that when the rates drop, and eventually they will, we don't have a telescope, we've heard a million times this quarter, that quarter, but eventually they will drop. They will probably go back to the mid to high fours, maybe the low fives. That means more buyers come into the market, right? Supply and demand, right? And then you're going to stress yourself out because one thing we learned from the COVID situation was buyer's remorse. When there was bidding wars and people were waiving the home inspections, waiving the appraisals because they had to win the bid, a year later, 2 years later, when the insurance stuff came down with the roofs now and everything, the plumbing issues, all these stuff, these people didn't realize that they bought a house that had an older roof, might have had cast iron pipes, poly pipe, and there was extra expenses now that they overpaid for a house that really now is costing them maybe 50 or $75,000 out of pocket because they went into buying a house on winning the bid and not with like open eyes to make sure that it was a financially sound house for them. You can ask sellers for what we call seller concessions. Sometimes you can ask for 3% towards your closing costs, because they're dying to sell because it's sitting on the market because the rates are higher. You can ask them for seller credits, like let's say their roof doesn't need to be replaced, but it's like on the verge, might have a 5-year life expectancy. Hey, doesn't hurt to ask if like the roof's going to cost 30, maybe they'll give you 15 grand. Really, where the big opportunity is right now is with new construction, which we do have a lot happening in South Florida, but the price points are ridiculous for a lot of people. Like a townhouse is $700,000. I mean, you could buy a house for $700,000. The
Mm.
single family homes are starting at $1 million, and they're offering in-house financing at like a 4.5%. They're paying your closing costs if you use them. They're giving you upgrades because the
Mhm.
builders are feeling the economy too. Because remember, when you buy land, you plan on building on it, you bought it 5 to 7 years ago, right? With really no forecast of what's going to happen in the market.
Right.
So you were Lennar
Right.
or GL Homes and you bought something in 2020, you're like, oh my God, look at this great market, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, like it's all shifted. The supplies, the cost to buy material went up higher.
Mhm.
To find good help, it is hard. So they're giving a lot of incentives away.
Right.
If you're in that price point factor, now if you go to Port St. Lucie or up by you, Jacksonville area, stuff like that, there's some pretty good deals there where you can get a single family home for like 400 that
Right.
would be like an $800,000 house here.
That's why so many people, when they sell in South Florida,
Mhm.
they come here and they pay their house outright with cash, and then they have some money left over.
Yeah.
It's just such a different market, and
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing a lot. There are a lot of people doing that, coming in from South Florida and even California, where prices are even higher over there. I mean, they come here a millionaire once they sell a house in California and come here to North Florida.
Yes.
Hmm. I really appreciate being on, Nikki. Thank you. You're always a wealth of information, and that's what I love about you and what you're doing with the Nikki Hanna Group. This is who to call for not just Hometown Heroes, of course, that program, but for anything else. So give
There's
Nikki a
just so
call.
many moving pieces in it. And I know we're gonna, talk in the future, but even the senior community, the 55 and older, it's something that I hold really dear in my heart and I really have a niche for.
Hmm.
It's transitioning them. Whether they became a widow or maybe they can't do the stairs anymore in their house, setting them up for success
Right.
and, not putting them in a 55 and older community that's having financial problems, put them in the one that makes the most sense that's not. And there's a great place, you always hear me talk about it, Lauderdale West and Plantation, where you can get a single family home, like a two to one car garage in the threes, and a villa in the twos. And so amazing there. It's so centrally located, and they have transportation if you need it, two community pools, all the bells and whistles, and it's just getting them in the right place.
I think that's a great show to have for the next one
Yeah.
because there's a lot happening with our seniors right now on so many different levels. So we're going to have a few different shows about seniors and senior
Yes.
living and where they should be. Thank you
Yes.
so much, Nikki.
You're welcome. Great to see
Awesome.
you. Hope your family's doing well.
Yes, I hope yours is as well, and we'll have you on again soon. I really love talking to you, so I'm looking forward to the next show. Thank you.
Thank you.